I'm Dr. Andrew Mendenhall, an addiction medicine and pain management specialist at HealthWorks Northwest. We're about to hear from Susan. It's important to hear the parts of Susan's story where she experiences opiate-induced pain amplification as a function of her treatment for chronic pain. Death due to unintentional prescription opiate overdose has become the #1 cause of preventable death in America. Susan's story is also one of remarkable success. The uniqueness of the buprenorphine molecule provides us the strength of a tool that is useful in taking care of the complex patient with pain and co-occurring addiction issues. Susan has achieved neurochemical stabilization of her brain, an improvement in her depression, a dramatic improvement in her pain, and most importantly, safety and security of living in truth in her recovery.
I have 3, 4, and 5 that had fractures in them in my cervical spine. And I do have progressive degenerative disease of the spine as well. And so they didn't find it for, well, it was almost 4 years. And so even though I was taking pain medication, I wasn't getting relief. And I had surgery, and they went in and put a cage in and secured that to my 2nd and 7th vertebrae. And that the pain was less for a while, but then it got really bad again. I was prescribed OxyContin and Percocet. And what I found was that after a while, it almost didn't work anymore. And so I knew, though, if I went into treatment, that I'd get spun dry and set up with a 12-step program, and out I would go. And I knew the pain would not be addressed. And so here I already have these support systems in place, but what was going to happen with the pain? And it seemed like the pain medication sometimes almost made the pain worse. And so I just felt like I had to make a change, that my life depended on it. I'd been suicidal for almost a year.
Thank you for telling me your story. You mentioned that the pain almost seemed amplified or seemed worse. We know that opiates, based on how they change the brain dopamine levels, actually create pain amplification. We call that hyperalgesia. Many people who take chronic opiate medications experience hyperalgesia. You also mentioned to me that you have other drugs of choice, and I know that you've worked a very, very solid recovery program for a long time. Would you mind sharing about that?
Yes, I am an alcoholic, and I haven't drank for many, many years. And I stopped after getting 2 DUIs, and I could see my family history and how many people were suffering from alcoholism, and I just knew that I would be the same. I didn't want to repeat that for my son. And so he was 5 when I quit drinking, and I quit doing everything at that point in time, and got my life back. Feels very similar to what I've experienced here at this clinic.
Have you felt that your experience with pain medication has put your recovery from alcoholism at any point at risk?
Absolutely. Here's the drinking right here. So now we're at the point where, am I going to drink? Or now comes in, am I going to kill myself? Because I equate drinking, might take a little longer, but I equate that with killing myself. And I knew that I couldn't handle the shame, and probably not a good idea to drink alcohol on top of opiates. And so my mind had switched to this place where killing myself became an idea that I had thought about for a long period of time. And I've had dear friends that have gone through the suicide of their partner, and it's horrific. And I decided that I couldn't do that to my family. And so I felt really like I didn't know what to do.
Sadly, it's not an uncommon story for people to take their lives when they feel hopeless. When you were in the midst of thinking about taking your own life or thinking about relapse, did you feel that you could be open with physicians, other care providers, or your sponsor within your recovery program?
Tell my physician, oh no. I knew though that if I took more, then I'd be out. And sometimes my physician would let me go an extra 2 or 3 days before a refill. I don't know why, if it's disorganization or what, but if anyone's ever been without for 2 or 3 days, it's not fun. And so, no, I wasn't going to take the risk of, pretty much validating her thoughts on me that, first I'm scum of the earth and now I'm going to kill myself. So, what am I, crazy, scum of the earth? So, no, I would have never told my physician.
Now that we've helped you transition to buprenorphine, how do you feel?
I could only, in one word, describe it as elated. Because I'm okay to live at a 2 or 3. It's just living at a 5 or 6 that, it can be trying. So, and I feel okay to say that to my doctor. I don't feel like I've done something terribly wrong in order, to have more care.
I have many patients tell me that when they take buprenorphine, that they don't get high.
You don't. You get pain relief. I don't get high. And I don't get low either, which was all I was getting, was low and more pain. And at the same time, I was very fearful that if I took that pain medicine away, then how bad was it going to be? So I couldn't believe it wasn't extremely uncomfortable. I felt cared for in a way that has restored my belief in doctors. No, and I feel hope today as well. So I've got my life back.
The story of hope and the message for Susan's future and for patients like her is that buprenorphine detoxification offers an opportunity for the patient to experience normalization of their midbrain dopamine. Susan's story is a compelling example of what's clinically relevant, clinically proven by the work of Dr. Herbert Malinoff, and clinically possible in an outpatient care setting.